Well, 36. All right, good evening, everyone. The date is April 5th, 2022. The time is 6 o'clock. And if you have tuned in or you are here in the chamber, you are with the Athens-Clarke County Commission and myself, Mayor Kelly Gertz, for our monthly business meeting. We are going to begin with a roll call from Clerk Spratlin.
Davenport, Harper,
Here.
Blank,
Here.
Wright,
Present.
Denson, Poole,
Present.
Edwards,
Here.
Myers,
Here.
Thornton. Here. Hamby.
Here.
And we have a quorum.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. All right, first order of business is to approve minutes of meetings of Tuesday, March 1st, Tuesday, March 8th, Tuesday, March 15th, the agenda setting session of Tuesday, March 15th, and work sessions of Tuesday, March 8th, and Tuesday, March 22nd. Do I hear such a motion? Commissioner Wu?
I make a motion to approve the minutes with the changes and additions being applied as noted in my email this afternoon.
I second.
All right, I've got a motion from Commissioner Hool, second from Commissioner Myers. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, hearing none, motion carries. Madam Clerk, do we have any written communications this evening?
No, we have none tonight.
All right, thank you. I do need to ask for an amendment to the agenda to subtract item 16, which is the Housing Authority related payment in lieu of taxes, as some additional work needs to be done on that item, and add a resolution to affirm those members who are going to be part of the mall area TAD, just affirming what we agreed to a month ago. So could I have a motion to amend the agenda to do those two things?
So moved. Seconded.
I've got a motion from Commissioner Parker, second from Commissioner Myers. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, hearing none, we have one exciting item. I'm going to come down to the mic by Clerk Spratlin here. All right, it's been so long since we've been here in City Hall consistently, I almost forgot how to do all this. But what I'm excited about is that, as is often the case, our great staff have contributed to a fantastic project, or really in this case, coupling of projects that has resulted in an award based on the quality of their work. And that is that SPLOST 2011 Project 23, which is Fire Station number 2, as well as the adjacent Cooperative Extension Office, have been certified LEED Silver by the U.S. Green Building Council. And so this is the result of any number of great elements of this project. The fact that we've co-located these projects, of course, means that we have saved on impervious surface, means we were able to do joint stormwater management, and we're doing rainwater harvesting on site, and we have a lot of great native plantings on that site as well. We also have solar panels on those buildings, and we've got energy efficiency integrated throughout the systems. And as a sidebar, if you've been out there, there are 2 great pieces of public art that you can also witness if you would like to see all those great elements. So at this time, I'd like to invite Chief Scarborough, Cooperative Extension Director Jackie Dallas, and Sustainability Officer Mike Wharton, along with Keith Sanders from our SPLOST office, to come on up and thank them for their great work. So, because these are 2 separate projects, we do have 2 separate certificates. So we have LEED Silver for Fire Station number 2. Thank you, Chief. And we have LEED Silver for the Athens-Clarke County Extension Office. So Jackie, thank you so much. Everybody give them a hand for the great work. All right. Any words of wisdom?
We appreciate the support we had from SPLOST. We did a lot of work on this.
Yes, Keith, thank you. Appreciate it. Mike, thank you. Jackie, great work. Chief, we really appreciate it. Thanks so much. Go forth and do well. Thank you. Thank you, Clerk Spratt. That. All right, so this evening, my friends, we are going to have several opportunities for resident input. We are going to have opportunity regarding the consent agenda, which are items number 1 through 10. We'll have an opportunity on old and new business, that's 11 through 23. We'll have an item on our single zoning item, which is item number 24. And then at the conclusion of the meeting, we will have an opportunity for any item not on the agenda. Rules of input are generally the same regardless of circumstance. Any member of the public will have up to 3 minutes. The light will be green when that 3 minutes begins, right in front of Clerk Spratland. The light will turn yellow when 30 seconds remain, and the light will turn red when the 3 minutes is up. So, that said, is there any member of the public who would like to speak to the consent agenda this evening? Again, items 1 through 10. All right, hearing silence. All right, I would like to ask, is there a commissioner who would like to remove any item from the consent agenda for discussion? Again, given the silence, I would entertain a motion for approval of said consent agenda with the ordinances that Attorney Drake is about to read.
Item number 1, an ordinance to amend the FY 2022 annual operating and capital budget for Athens-Clarke County, Georgia, so as to provide grant funding, if awarded, from the Homeland Security Grant Program, HSGP, for the purchase of a new mobile 911 center and related equipment and for other purposes. Item number 2, an ordinance to amend the Code of Athens-Clarke County, Georgia, with respect to stop control at the intersection of Saint James Drive and Somerset Drive and for other purposes. Item number 3, an ordinance to amend the Transportation Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax 2018 program budget so as to provide additional funding for project number 5, Oconee River's Greenway project, sub-project number 7, Oconee Street underpass, and for other purposes. Those are all the items on the consent agenda.
Thanks, Attorney Drake. Is there a motion for that?
So moved. Second.
All right, I'm going to take notes here. Got a primary motion from Commissioner Wright. Got a second from Commissioner Thornton. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, hearing none, consent agenda carries. All right, next order of business is resident input on items of old and new business. So that is item number 11 through number 23. Is there anybody who would like to speak to these items? All right, seeing none, we're going to go ahead and move on to commission discussion of old business. So item 11 is TSPLOST project number 6, which is the Firefly Trail, and this is sub-project number 3, which is right-of-way acquisition and a resolution for eminent domain use. So I'd entertain a motion regarding this item.
Motion to approve. Second.
All right, I've got a motion from, we'll give it to Commissioner Myers, second from Commissioner Link. All right, any discussion, commissioners, on this? Commissioner Davenport?
So I'm 100% in support of the Firefly Trail. I think it's going to be a great asset for Athens-Clarke County. I'll be voting no on this, not because I don't like it. I think it's a great idea, but however, almost a year ago today, we had this long discussion about some residents who have some concerns about their property being taken, and I just want to continue to represent those constituents.
Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Myers?
Yeah, I'm voting to approve it, obviously, since I made the motion. And actually, I wanted to address right away that exactly what Commissioner Davenport had brought up. The eminent domain that is going to be used in situations that are not what the public usually thinks of as sort of bad eminent domain, but situations in which the SPLOST staff have reached out and the title owner has failed to return contact with staff on numerous occasions, properties with concerns where the current occupant is not the title owner, there's a deceased title and other things, where the parcel title's owner may have limited capacity, mental capacity, or the parcel subject is the parcel property is subject to federal tax lien. And so my understanding of this is that these were standard procedures for dealing with right-of-way acquisitions that need to be followed through for the Firefly in cases, in these particular cases, and not particularly contested by the landowner.
Yeah, that's correct, Commissioner. That's right. Commissioner Link, you seconded. Any follow-up?
No.
Okay. Commissioner Thornton?
I'll also be voting no on this for the reasons Commissioner Davenport has mentioned. We have a tendency to get reports and information that may or may not be as accurate as we would like. I don't think that the fact eminent domain is eminent domain, period, to me. And for the land and areas that I've known other people to have lost, primarily people of color, I can empathize with the concerns of those neighbors and that community, so I'll be voting no also.
Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Wright?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that Mayor Pro Tem Myers did bring up some examples of where this is used, but it also is opening it up to be used in the instances where the people are not willing participants for the sale of the property. I might be the only one behind the rail that has had eminent domain. University of Kentucky decided to buy the first house I ever bought, and it's not a pretty thing. It's not a pretty situation. You have to know, you have to be savvy to make sure that you get the value of your property and be able to stand up to entities. And I will support my colleagues who are not in favor of this being open. I think that we should be, maybe I should ask for clarification. When the eminent domain is used, will we be approving each one of those to come before us?
I think the agenda item lists some that are just what people refer to as friendly eminent domain in the sense that there's title issues. I did clarify with the Jacob staff that the subject properties that Commissioner Davenport will come back to commission for approval. So they're not part of this agenda item, is my understanding.
Okay.
That's correct. That's package B. This is package A.
Okay, so the
Yep.
package is addressing the ones in particular, and then the ones that are more complex,
They'll come back.
or, as we say, less friendly. Okay, so I'll support it now that you've clarified that distinction on these.
These allow us, these here, the only way to get clear title is to do the combination. It's my understanding that the property owners themselves don't object to the combination. Is that what, in that the other ones, the controversial ones, are going to come back separately? Because I asked that question myself.
Okay, thanks for that clarification.
And just for the public's information, this is really just for the trail access way, so no complete properties are being taken here, nobody's home place. The kind of dynamic, if you look at the property map, is that the rail line generally runs between two properties, and so it's just that segment that will be encumbered by the trail, future trail.
Yeah,
Commissioner
I
Myers.
did want to just follow up for clarification that in the facts and issues, it lists the property parcel numbers in facts and issue number 7 and says all of the ones that are being referred to and voted on this are actually apply to the issues noted in what I read before. So I just wanted to clarify that. And also to clarify that this is the first half from Spring Valley Hancock to Rannoch Road, and then the Rannoch Road to Morse Grove will be later in the fall. And I did talk to the SPLOST office to see how those were going, and I was relieved to hear that they were going more smoothly considering some of the contention we had last year. So just wanted to follow up there.
Thanks, Commissioner.
I want to clarify, Mr. Mayor. I emailed Derek Doster, asked this question. He says the parcels are identified in the agenda report and to date fill all but one of the batches friendly. The exception seems to be a gentleman that we've not been able to communicate with fully. Also, this batch does not include the group of property owners that you and I met with on the site, and those are the property owners who are Commissioner Davenport's referring to.
Closer to the Winterville city limits.
Yep.
Yep. Commissioner
So
Thornton.
then I do need clarification. This is not the property that we met with the residents?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I'll change my vote then.
All right. All right, Clerk Spratlin, if we could do a roll call?
Myers,
Yes.
Thornton,
Yes.
Hamby,
Yes.
Davenport,
No?
Parker,
Yes.
Link,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Denson,
Yes.
Poole,
Yes.
Edwards.
yes,
9 yes, 1 no.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. All right, moving on to item 12, which is another element of the Firefly Trail, which is a joint-use parking lot and mid-block crossing at property that we own already. So entertain a motion regarding this item.
I move to approve.
Second.
All right, I've got a motion from Commissioner Link, second from Commissioner Parker. Commissioner Link is motioner. Any comment?
I am just eager to see this section completed so we can all enjoy it for the greater good of the community.
Commissioner Parker?
No, sir.
Any further input? Commissioner Wright?
Yeah, I have a question. Can I get clarification on the speed limit for Spring Valley Road?
35 miles per hour.
35 miles an hour. I think, wasn't that too fast for us to have a crossing of the trail for an earlier discussion?
My understanding is that traffic and engineering has taken a look at it, and as the mid-block crossing is laid out right now, the site distance does give a pedestrian enough time to cross the street at 35 miles per hour.
Gotcha. If they're doing the speed limit. Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to be
Commissioner Myers?
making that same point because I had asked about the safety at the agenda setting meeting, but I also am really glad that we're going to have this because there are so few places for people to go to park to get on the trail. So this will be a needed asset for people who want to use the trail.
All right. There's a motion from Commissioner Link, second from Commissioner Parker. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, moving on to item 13, which is professional design and construction administration services for a project that has a location yet to be determined, although there is a committee working on that, and that is the East Side Library project that I know we're all very excited about. Entertain a motion for this item.
So moved. Second.
I've got a motion from Commissioner Parker, second from Commissioner Myers. Any input, Commissioner Parker?
No, sir. I just want to add for the benefit of the public that as is outlined in facts and issues number 6 in our agenda item, we anticipate having the site acquired and the schematic design by September of next year, and approval of that in early 2024 to start construction in January of 2025. And to have construction complete by 2026. So I know a lot of the community is very excited about this as well, wondering when it's coming online. So that's a little bit of the timeline that folks can expect now that we've taken this step at this meeting.
No, good point. I think if we all had a collective magic wand, we would have it there now. So
Right.
thanks for the timeline.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I just wanted to follow up. I was going to make the same points, and I will be I am chairing the site selection committee, so we're going to get going on that pretty soon. I did a little quick search of Macmillan, Pasden, Smith, and they have done a bunch of libraries, a similar scale, and have done a few that are real noted for their green building and energy efficiency. And I was thinking how glad I am that we now have our Athens-Clarke County Green Building Code, so we don't have to bring this up every time, as I'm doing now.
Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Hool?
Thank you, Mayor. I plan to support this item. I'm glad that you brought up the Green Building Code and some progress we've made with regards to sustainability, and it reminds me of the Green Jobs Pipeline that we have a lot of folks reaching out to us about. And I believe most, if not all of us, have heard from some labor advocates who are seeking to get a community benefits agreement with the Classic Center on some work that's happening there. And I think this is another example of a fairly substantial project that's happening in the community with public dollars, where we do well to leverage where we can partnerships that enable local workers to be brought on board for these projects. And I know the way that we try to approach community benefits agreements is highly complicated by state law, where we can inject those sorts of things, but I hope that this body will seek to help in whatever way possible in those negotiations that happen outside of our purview, and also to find ways to maybe formally build that into our process more.
Thanks, Commissioner. Any further input on this item? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Moving on to item 14, As is often the case, when there's a highway project, there's sometimes some adjacent utilities that need some replacement, and so this is a sewer main at State Route 10, the North Loop, where there's a bridge replacement project underway. So I'd entertain a motion regarding 14.
So moved.
Second.
I've got a motion from Commissioner Thornton, second from Commissioner Davenport. Commissioner Thornton, any input on this item?
No, it's needed, no comment.
Thanks. Commissioner Davenport?
Nope, no comments.
All right. Any further input? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? All right. Motion carries. All right. Item 15 is to declare the former Cooperative Extension Office on West Broad Street as surplus and approve staff to begin the process of receiving bids. And of course, we will have another agenda item to approve a bid and to direct the funds to the account of our preference from that sale.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right. I've got a motion from Commissioner Parker, second from Commissioner Thornton. All right. Any input, Commissioner Parker?
No, I think that it's important for perhaps the public to know that we're anticipating being able to use the funds, the revenues from the sale for some sort of, to public benefit of some kind. There was consideration among the body of ways that the actual sale process could be leveraged to get something of public benefit on the site, but ultimately, it's likely that we'll do better with those dollars than would perhaps some private entity interested in buying this site. So looking forward to being able to sell this off and put the money to good use.
Amen. Commissioner Thornton?
No, I have no comment.
All right. Commissioner Hool?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to clarify with staff. So we're going to have another vote in the future whenever this property sales, and that'll be our opportunity to more specifically earmark the revenue if
That's
we choose
right.
to, right?
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Again, 16 is on hold pending some additional work. Moving on to 17, this is a resolution authorizing the submission of a grant application to the Georgia Department of Transportation for Federal Transit Administration Discretionary Capital Bus and Bus Facilities Grant Funding for a new bus repair facility.
So moved.
Second.
All right, I've got a motion from Commissioner Wright and a second from Commissioner Denson. Taking some notes here. All right, Commissioner Wright, any input on this?
No, ready to vote?
Commissioner Denson?
Best of luck in staff getting that grant.
Amen. Commissioner Lake?
Yeah, I just want to make it clear that this is, could possibly set in motion the process of moving the bus depot repair from the end of Boulevard to somewhere else in the community. So for the public out there who wants to be aware of that, I know there are folks on Boulevard that have been, concerned about buses going up and down the neighborhood street for a long time, so.
Thanks for making that point. Attorney Drake?
An ordinance to amend the operating and capital budget for Athens-Clarke County, Georgia, so as to provide grant funding if awarded from the Georgia Department of Transportation, GDOT, and the Federal Transit Administration's FTA FY23 Bus and Bus Facilities Capital Program Grant for a transit operations facility and for other purposes.
All right, any further input? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, good luck with that, staff. Appreciate you hunting that down. All right, items 18 through 23 are new business, and so I need a motion for suspension of rules.
So moved. Second?
All right, I've got a motion from Commissioner Hool and a second from Commissioner Parker for suspension of rules. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, rules are suspended. 18 is an emergency baler and belt replacement at the MRF, the Recovered Materials Processing Facility. Stuff breaks down, and we want it to work again.
So moved.
Motion from Commissioner Wright.
I'll second.
All right, I got a second from Commissioner Link. Could you read the ordinance for us, please, Attorney Drake?
An ordinance to amend the FY 2022 annual operating and capital budget for Athens-Clarke County, Georgia, so as to provide funding for the solid waste department and for the purchase of a baler and belt replacement and for other purposes.
All right, thanks, Attorney Drake. Any further input on this item? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Item 19, as some folks may have read in the local press, occasionally when you have a big complex project, you find that there may be overpayment or underpayment of taxes at some points, and so Caterpillar has overpaid. And so this is a resolution to offer a refund to them. So Attorney Drake, is there an ordinance giving this a budgetary item or
No,
not?
no, sir, just a resolution.
Okay. All right. I'd entertain a motion regarding this.
So moved?
All right. I've got a motion from Commissioner Parker. Is there a second?
Second.
I've got a second from Commissioner Myers. All right. Any input on this? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? All right. Hearing none, motion carries. All right, item 20 is a resolution regarding payment to resident. Entertain a motion regarding this.
So move to approve.
Second.
All right, I've got a motion from Commissioner Link, second from Commissioner Denson. All right. Any input, Commissioner Link?
No.
Commissioner Denson?
Ready to move forward.
All right. Commissioner Myers?
I do have a question for clarification. The payment that's being made out, is that coming from liability insurance funds?
Speak to that. It will depend on, we have, I believe on this one, I can seek clarification, there's a $100,000 deductible, so it depends on whether we've used our deductible. We have to pay the first 100, in other words, or it may be 50. I don't know if this is under the old policy, the new policy with GERM, but I'll get some clarification. If it's under the old policy, we're responsible for the first 100 grand. If it's under the GERM policy, we're responsible for the first 50. And so it would depend on how much money we've spent. I can get that clarification for you.
And for clarification too, is that, do we budget for that deductible, the
We-
attorney's office, or?
That is budgeted through the Human Resources Department, the Risk
Okay.
Management Division.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Does that help?
Yeah.
All right. Any further input? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, hearing none, motion carries. All right, 21 is continued work on the project that we're facilitating for the Northeast Georgia Food Bank regarding that state grant of Community Development Block Grant COVID project. And entertain a motion for approval.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, I've got a motion from Commissioner Myers. I have a second from Commissioner Thornton. Commissioner Myers, any further input?
I did read over this as as someone with advanced degree in teaching English as a second language. I was drawn to this to read this a little more closely, and I just wanted to clarify something for myself here. So this language access plan basically is saying that we have to make sure that we communicate people who are not proficient in English. And that's part of the grant that's needed for the federal funds. What I wasn't clear, and then that also that I saw who was going to be the person, but does that language access plan apply to everything in the unified government, or just stuff that's associated with the food bank?
That's a great question. So right now, it's specific to the food bank and the CDBG grant. However, in the future, the PIO does have plans to work on a language access plan for the unified government.
Okay. Great, thank you.
Great question, Commissioner. Any further input? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, hearing none, motion carries. All right, 22 is an ordinance for the 28th declaration, if you can believe it, of a local state of emergency related to COVID-19.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All right, an ordinance, Attorney Drake.
An ordinance for the 28th declaration of a local state of emergency related to COVID-19 and for other purposes.
All right, any further input? Commissioner Link?
Yeah, I'm hoping that we won't have many more of these. Let's hope, but I do want to encourage everyone to be careful and to please get vaccinated and get your boosters. They've approved a second booster for all of us over 50. I'll be getting mine next week. And I want to encourage everyone to get that booster because people are still getting COVID, but when they're vaxxed and boosted, it's not a big deal, but it could be a big deal if they pass it on to someone who is not vaxxed and boosted. So please get vaccinated and make sure everybody you know is as well.
That benefit of us long in the tooth. Commissioner Wright?
Did the seconder want to comment?
Commissioner Wu?
I'll just second the sentiments shared by my colleague, Commissioner Link, as well.
So my question is, with this and the changes in numbers, is that our parklet program will also end at this point, right? unless we,
Attorney Drake, this continues the parklet program, is that correct? And I believe that's in committee right now.
Yeah, the continuation of the parklet program is subject to the approval of this emergency ordinance, meaning that the parklet program is currently authorized under the declaration of emergency ordinance as set forth in herein.
oh, okay, I misunderstood. I thought that some of our that it was also dependent on the numbers being high, and did you say that you have sent this to committee?
Yeah, the parklet program's in committee.
Okay, good. Obviously not the committee I'm on, but, and also the Clayton Street, I'll just send an email to the managers about the Clayton Street area, and there's a parklet that's closed because of construction, but yet nobody can use it to park. So I think if we can make sure they're being used versus taking up parking spots, that sounds like something I'll just send to management.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Central
Okay.
Services administers that program.
Okay, thank
So
you.
management can find out about it. Commissioner Parker?
Oh, I just wanted to add as chair of GOC that we have sent our draft ordinance out to business owners and other stakeholders to kind of get their feedback on what we're thinking and anticipate returning to the topic in May, hopefully for approval if we don't need that many tweaks.
Thanks, Commissioner. I appreciate that update. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Aye. All right, item 23 is appointments. Sent out an amended list of Human Relations Commission members and entertain a motion for approval of those.
When was that sent out? An amended list?
Yeah, there was a snip, somebody was left off. It was the first name.
Okay.
Oh, so moved. Second?
All right, I've got a motion from Commissioner Denson, second from Commissioner Parker. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, and so Human Relations Commission members are Brandon Baker, J. Ivy Brown, Myung Kogan, Tamika Curry, Tucker Duval, Tammy Fry, Danielle Gilmer, Cameron Harrelson, Camarcus Howard, Alejandra Villegas Lopez, Sharon McDaniel Miller, Callie or Anna Moore, Daniel Moore, Jalita Sanders, and Kathleen Westbrook. So looking forward to their service and appreciate everybody who applied for that position. I'll do this before voluntary text. We just need a motion for the resolution affirming that Commissioner Hamby, Commissioner Hool, and myself will serve on the TAD advisory board. So I'd entertain a motion for that approval.
Is that a motion to suspend the rules? Since it was on the agenda?
We suspended the rules already. Yep.
So moved.
Second?
All right, we've got a motion from Commissioner Denson, second from Commissioner Parker. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Can
we
we
have
clarify briefly, because twice now Commissioner Edwards has said aye. I just want to know if he is saying aye to opposing the motion, or in case there's some kind of delay. Commissioner Edwards, can you hear
Commissioner
me?
Edwards, was that for approval or opposition?
I am approving.
And that's the same for the declaration of the local emergency for the last item?
Yes.
Okay. Just for the, clarity in the minutes, just want to make sure.
Good, digital lag. Good call. All right, we have a single text amendment, planning and zoning item. And as is always the case, there's an opportunity for resident input on planning and zoning items. And so I would call now for anybody who would like to speak to the text amendment regarding voluntary inclusionary zoning. Same rules of public input apply. All right, hearing none, we'll come behind the rail. We've had discussions of a couple times here. Of course, this had to be delayed a month because the paper did not publish our requested legal notice. But it's now been published and we're good to go. So I'd entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
All right, I've got a motion from Commissioner Hool, second from Commissioner Denson. I believe there's an ordinance, Attorney Drake. And this is,
That's correct, Mr. Mayor. There's actually two ordinances, one to approve the text amendment, and another one to approve the schedule of fees related to this item. So I'll read them both, or?
yeah, that'd be great.
An ordinance to amend the Code of Athens-Clarke County, Georgia with respect to voluntary inclusion zoning and for other purposes. An ordinance to amend the Code of Athens-Clarke County, Georgia with respect to a schedule of fees to be adopted annually for other purposes. And this is establishing the fees that are required under this new provision for applying for it, Mr. Mayor.
Great. And so can we handle both the schedule of fees and the ordinance with a single vote, or do we need two separate votes, Attorney Drake?
Madam Clerk?
I take 2 separate votes.
Okay.
All right, so first vote will be on the ordinance. We got a motion from Commissioner Hool, second from Commissioner Denson. Any input on the ordinance? Commissioner Link?
Yeah, I am eager to see this implemented. I feel like this is something that, quite honestly, we should have drafted up, 8 or 10 years ago. We lost a lot of opportunity in the student housing boom to get some of this affordable housing in those multifamily units. I know that I advocated for it from the time I came on the commission almost 8 years ago. So yeah, there has been a lot of opportunity lost, but I hope that we will see some significant investment in some affordable housing. I hope that UGA will do their part in creating more housing for their students, because much of the burden on our housing market is due to the increased enrollment at UGA. And I also want to please ask the mayor to direct a committee to start exploring density options in single-family neighborhoods. I know that that can be a dicey topic. People do have reservations because of the idea of these single-family properties turning over to student properties, but I think there's a way that we can control that with homestead exemptions and Section 8 voucher requirements, bedroom limits on accessory dwellings and things like that. I believe there are a lot of tricks that we can turn to assure that we can increase density in our single-family neighborhoods for the good of our working people and our families.
Thanks for that request, and I intend to continue to use the Inclusionary Zoning Task Force if they would continue to work, and their next task are what you might think of as the sort of niche missing middle elements, such as cottage courts and accessory dwelling units, and then beyond that, single-family zones broadly, and ownership product. So I think Commissioner Davenport, and then Parker, then Denson.
Just real briefly, I'd just like to thank staff and the commissioners who worked really hard on this. It was a monumental task. The community is greatly going to appreciate the work that's going to come out of this, so just want to thank y'all for your hard work.
Amen. Commissioner Parker.
I also want to thank staff and planning commissioners that took part in this process. I learned a great deal through this, and I'm very, very thankful for their expertise in drafting this text amendment. I also want to say how enthusiastic I am about the potential for really creating a robust affordable housing fund through our pilot program embedded in this text amendment. We are asking for about $165,000 per unit that could have been built on site for folks that choose not to opt into building the affordable housing, but still want to, make use of some of the density bonuses. And with that, I think there's a lot we can do around community control of the future direction of new construction in Athens. It's a lot of times it feels like we're kind of at the whim of developers, but actually having a process by which communities can decide what they want their neighborhoods to look like, what kinds of investments in affordable housing they'd like to see, is something unprecedented. And so very excited about that prospect. That is a lesser emphasized component of this ordinance.
No, I think a lot of elements of this are going to be working together, common goals. Let's see, I had Commissioner Denson, then Commissioner Wright, and then Commissioner Hool.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. And I just want to thank, along with Commissioner Parker, to serve on this task force with me. Planning Commissioner Alice Kinman, who chaired it in a magnificent form, and also Planning Commissioner Matt Hall, who served on there, and residents Heather Benham and Rick Parker from the Land Trust and from the Housing Authority, respectively, who all worked really hard and meeting multiple times a month to get this work done. And it couldn't have happened without Assistant Manager Jones and Planning Director Brad Griffin, Attorney Sherry Hines. So many people really chipped in and worked amazingly hard. And it was honestly one of the most productive groups I've ever worked with, probably. And so I'm very excited for us to continue working together on some of those other issues that the mayor brought up, and seeing us add to the stock of affordable housing we have here in Athens-Clarke County.
Thanks, Tim. I've got Commissioner Wright.
Thank you, Commissioner Dotson, for listing everybody who was on that committee. I know that you guys have been working really hard, and I wasn't clear the extent of the whole ad hoc committee. And I really do appreciate it, because I know all these people are very busy. The staff is taking on an additional load with this, but it's so important, and you guys have done great work, and I'm looking forward to I think when we got it, we had different pastel colors of each section of the topics, and I look forward to, what color was this one? Do you remember?
This might have been pink.
Pink. I'm looking forward to the next section coming forward so that we can methodically deal with these things in committee form, where I think that's where the best work gets done to end up with, I think, a unanimous vote tonight.
Commissioner Hool?
Yeah, I wanted to sing the praises of this as well. Certainly all the folks involved, and I wanted to thank you, Mayor Gertz, for kind of leading the charge on this. You know, one of the humbling things for me in getting into this role is seeing how slowly the wheels of government turn, and I think there's a value in that, even though it can also be frustrating when we're seeing the rising costs of housing and rent skyrocket right now, and a lot of that is due to forces that are beyond our control as a local government, but this is an example of this government responding. And we've had many people, dozens and dozens of people working on this for years, overtime, putting in extra time to make this happen. I think it was your first year in office that you assigned a host of things to the Planning Commission, and this is us just tackling another one of the many things in that list. So it's been interesting sitting in this role and watching us respond to the concerns of the community in a way that takes a long time to get done, and then it'll probably take years longer for us to really see the fruits of this. Thankfully, a year from now, we're planning to bake in an opportunity to evaluate how well this policy is working and see if it needs to be tweaked at all. But for anybody who's watching this and wondering what the heck all these abstract policy revisions mean in the wake of a housing crisis where rent has gone up 33% in the last year, this is an example of us trying to do what we can to play our part to alleviate some of the worst effects.
Commissioner Thornton?
I also want to compliment and give kudos to everyone that was involved in this process. I would say this is probably, there may be other initiatives, but this is the one that rises to the top that looks like it does bring us together. I think this is something that this to me is what progressive looks like. Progressive is slow, but this to me, I don't think there is any division of how this turned out or the direction it's going. I hope that I'm more involved in the future because housing is very dear to my heart, but I do believe that we are moving in the right direction. So I do want to thank the committee and the mayor and staff for taking the plunge. Folk are going to need this. Folk are going to appreciate this.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I also thank everybody who was involved in this, certainly the commissioners, members of the Planning Commission, our affordable housing partners, staff who did an enormous amount of outreach to other communities, to people in the development community, to find the sweet spot to make this work. Ultimately, this is going to mean that seas of asphalt are transformed into housing, including permanently affordable housing. And while everything that we want takes some time, because we had such a great group kicking it off, it means that this is going to be a permanent benefit for our community. So I can't thank everybody again enough. And so first motion regards the ordinance language itself. We have a motion from Commissioner Hool, second from Commissioner Denson. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We also need a motion for approval of the fee schedule that the attorney referenced.
So moved. Second.
All right, I've got a motion from Commissioner Denson, a second from Commissioner Parker. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you all so much. Very excited about this, something we've needed for a long, long time. All right, now is that time when we receive public input from residents regarding any item not on the agenda this evening. Rules of input are the same, 3 minutes of public input. There is a little indicator in front of Clerk Spratlin, green when it is your time to begin speaking, yellow when you have 30 seconds remaining, and red when that 3 minutes has expired. So any member of the public, now is that opportunity. So just give us your name and tell us what you're speaking to.
Hello, I'm Asha Narula. I'm a member of the Athens Reproductive Justice Collective. And I'm here today to just kind of talk about some of the work we've been doing. So we are a group of students and non-students who are working towards reproductive justice in the Athens community. We've just gotten a great group of fellows who are volunteering their time, and they've come up with some really great proposals that we've gotten to speak to Commissioner Parker and Commissioner Houle about. The two that we're working on right now are providing infant changing stations and public restrooms around Athens. So right now for us that looks like mapping public buildings and looking at what can be done, and also working on getting what's called a Fairfield parent and child carol, which would provide child care for parents who could be working at the library, sort of a desk crib combo. So those are the two proposals we have kind of working on right now. I just want to introduce that to other commissioners who may not have heard about it, and hopefully receive your support as we move forward on these proposals and policies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Anyone else like to speak to the commission tonight regarding any item not on the agenda? All right, hearing none, we're going to go ahead and move to reports. Anything, Mr. Manager?
Just want to say thank you all for taking it easy on us tonight. Appreciate y'all.
You killed it.
Attorney Drake?
No comments.
All right, from myself, one ad hoc committee assignment. Pull this up, make sure I say it correctly. So I'm putting in place a short-term ad hoc property committee to consider first continuity of use for the Taylor Grady House as a house museum and event facility with appropriate neighborhood protections. I'd like them to work on that quickly so that we can maintain continuity there. And secondly, for use recommendations and an application process for occupation of the Costa building, working in consultation with the user group for that SPLOST project. And on that ad hoc committee are Commissioners Davenport, Commissioner Parker, and Commissioner Wright. So thank you all for taking that assignment. I think that's something that we can do relatively quickly. Also want to note for members of the community who are in existing youth-serving nonprofits, you still have time to apply for summer funds if you are going to either enhance or expand your programming in the summer of 2022. We're very much interested in providing as much support as we can. Coming, I think, as I heard Commissioner Link say earlier, hopefully out of this phase of the pandemic into a more normal life. And we want that normalcy to be an inclusive one for young members of our community. So please be looking for that on our website. You can look at our finance page to find that RFP. I am going to move around the room. We'll begin with Commissioner Hamby. We'll go in reverse order and end with Commissioner Davenport.
I have nothing tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
The only thing I'm going to mention, that I think I mentioned it earlier, I've been working with some people in the community on Fair Housing Month and trying to celebrate and remember fair housing, which was enacted in 1968, about 3 weeks after Martin Luther King was assassinated. And we've been doing small little events all month, but we wanted to culminate with an actual conference on April the 30th, which may get postponed due to some other things. But this week we'll be going, I'm taking a small group to the quarry. I thought that was really interesting. I think community needs to see that. Talking about community benefits, I mean, that's huge to me. So we're taking a small group to the quarry on Thursday. Next week we're taking a tour of development in my district, and we're actually going to start with the homeless encampment. And then on the 23rd, we're going to Clarkston to look at the cottage community. Charlie Upchurch Realty's coordinating that. And then, like I said, we may make some changes on date-wise, but we will have the conference, and Mayor Gertz and a few other folk on the commission have already agreed to participate. So thank you.
Great. Thanks, Commissioner.
I just want to say how impressed I was on a unannounced visit about 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, to the First Step homeless encampment. I was very touched there to meet some homeless individuals who had been staying on the east side, who really are seeing the place as a safe situation for them to catch their breaths and to be able to make changes. I think being there, seeing how well-run it was, the kind of security to make sure that there's no violence and drug and alcohol use on premises, the kind of support that's there with from everything from the charging stations to the van trips to get the showers between 1 and 4, I might have that time wrong, and the food, the warm meals that are provided, and the encouragement and support for people there who have employment it was just all very, very touching and impressive. And I'm very glad for the individuals who are there. Another thing I just want to mention, how I also last week watched very slow-moving, but the movement of part of the Firefly, the bridge, the Murmur Trestle go in. And that was right before I spent, I guess, about 60 miles riding out to past Maxie's and back on the Firefly Trail, and just saw how many different people were involved and thinking about what an impact that trail will have on people's lives for transportation, for recreation, and for economic development as people will come to Athens to use those trails in our greenways and spread their wealth around our community. So I'm thankful for all that staff does and all that our taxpayer money does for the community.
Thanks, Commissioner. Nobody's wasting time sitting still. Commissioner Edwards?
Thank you, colleagues, for a expeditious, efficient meeting with concise, germane comments and adherence to the rules of order. It's quite a refreshing experience to see a regular meeting perhaps clock sub 1 hour. Pretty awesome. So, well done, everybody.
Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Houle?
Thank you, Mayor Gertz. I think it just took Commissioner Edwards being out of the room and looming over us virtually from outer space to keep us all extra whipped in shape. A few announcements. First is 2 things that are happening now. There's a survey for the police chief of the community that you can see just on the banner that goes across our homepage on our website. If you have thoughts on what you'd like to see our next police chief focus on, how to conduct business in that department, then please fill that out. Also, there's some openings for more boards, authorities, and commissions. So the deadline for that is coming up soon, but you can go to accgov.com/boards and put your name in there. We need you. This Thursday at 6 p.m. in the Doherty Building is the Planning Commission meeting, and whenever there's a big thing in District 6 happening there, I try to highlight it. So I know a lot of folks are asking me about the mall. There's also a substantial development being proposed at Mill Center in Melwood. So those 2 things, among others, will be on the agenda tonight, and you can comment in person at the Doherty Street Building at 6 o'clock. I know a lot of folks are also concerned about the 1010 Oglethorpe Cottage Court development, and that's been postponed until May. Also, there's a records restriction event at the East Side Goodwill on Lexington Road on Saturday, April 23rd from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. So if you or anyone you know has anything on your record, especially a misdemeanor, it can be a conviction or an arrest that didn't result in a conviction, you can get that removed from your record. And it's a semi-complicated process that they make real easy if you come to one of these events. So you can get more information on that at accgov.com/record restriction. And then regarding the election, election will be underway before we meet again. So starting Monday, May 2nd is the start of early voting. And in addition to all the local races and the state primary elections, there's also TSPLOST on the ballot. So I'd just like to give a shout out to that unanimously passed by this body list of awesome projects that I think prioritizes equity better than we've ever done. And hope that folks will support that at the ballot box. Thanks for the person who spoke on behalf of the Athens Reproductive Justice Collective as well. ARJC, I know, has pushed Commissioner Parker and I to already bring up some subtle things in conversations to make us better, and I think their good work is going to make us even better moving forward. The last thing I just wanted to share, a lot of folks are asking me, probably some of my colleagues here, where the heck they live now, because the new maps have passed. They are the new maps, but we're kind of in this liminal space between the maps that elected everybody here and the maps that will elect future people. So at least for the folks of District 6 who comprise part of the 2/3 of people waking up in a new district, if you live in Stonehenge, Bogart, Jennings Mill Parkway, Cleveland Road, Cherokee Ridge, Huntington Road, or anywhere else off Atlanta Highway outside the loop, you're still in District 6. If you voted in District 6 before, but you may not be able to again if you are in Forest Heights, Tallahassee Road, Mitchell Bridge Road, or Atlanta Highway inside the loop, you're now probably in District 5. which means you get to vote for 2 commissioners in 4 years. So make sure to show up for that election. And for others who used to be in District 5 are now in District 6, that includes people on Lavender Road, Lantern Walk, Jefferson Highway, Rivercliff, the other side of Tallahassee Road, and many other neighborhoods in the rural west side. Unfortunately, you're going to have to wait 2 more years before you can vote again. But in any case, the point here, I think, is that as these kind of gerrymandered boundaries bounce around, we're all here to represent everyone. And so however you feel like you relate to District 6, whether you used to be in it or you're currently in it, just think of me as at least one of your commissioners now and moving forward. And for some of you, maybe you'll have 2. So, thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Denson.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you, Commissioner Hull. You actually took a couple of things off that I was going to mention. But everybody, please give your input on that police chief survey before April 10th. Just a couple other quick things. For one, I wanted just to give kudos to staff that Athens-Clarke County recently got multiple recognitions and awards because of the community tree program that we did. And reading over some of the information with this, very impressive. That one of the quotes here is that with a 58.2% tree canopy cover, Athens-Clarke County has the highest canopy cover percentage of any known city of over 100,000 people in the United States. That's amazing. Something to really be proud of. And I know we're continuing on and getting more and more green space because of our sustainability office. So some very impressive stuff and some great recognition that's well deserved there. I also just wanted to bring up there's a new federal benefit program for broadband that is many people can qualify. It's pretty open qualifying. If you go to acpbenefit.org, you can get free or discounted high-speed internet coverage. And anybody who receives specific government assistance, such as SNAP or is on Medicaid, is automatically qualifies for this program. So, all the people, if you receive one of those programs, please take advantage of this benefit to be able to help you out and make sure that you have high-speed internet for your family. And then the last thing I'm going to say is on Wednesday, April 20th at 5:30 p.m., I'll be hosting the next District 5 Town Hall. We'll be focusing on the TSPLOST 2023 referendum that's going to be on the ballot in May. And we will have members of the Citizen Advisory Committee there presenting about the referendum, what is on the referendum, what projects, and we'll have a deep dive into the ones that are going to be happening in District 5. So it's open to anybody across the entire county who wants to come. So again, it's going to be April 20th at 5:30 p.m. at Normal Bar.
So 4:20.
It is 4:20.
Okay. Yeah.
There you
Commissioner
go.
Wright.
I just want to thank staff for all their hard work and getting this agenda. So I'm going to pass so that we can get in under an hour. That's all I'm going to say.
It's too late.
Yeah, I just want to point out that GDOT has posted a input site and outlined the plans for the West Broad Roundabout, which has been a long, long time coming. So I want to encourage everyone to go to that site. Unfortunately, it's really hard to find. Our Department of Transportation and Public Works posted it on their Facebook page. I've shared it. I believe Commissioner Denson has shared it. I don't see it on the main page of our Department of Transportation and Public Works, so I hope we can get that there, because just doing a Google search for it, you can't find it through GDOT. So if we can make that a little more accessible to the public so they can just go to our TPW page and find that input, because this is really important. And I want to thank all the folks in that West Broad community for coming out to countless public meetings over these past probably 7 or 8 years. It's going to be a tremendous asset to the community in a just massively increasing safety on that section of West Broad. We see how effective roundabouts have been in other parts of the community, and I see them popping up throughout the state in these rural highways, and it's really helpful. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be here when this roundabout comes to fruition, and it's not by my choice, nor is it by the choice of my constituents. The West Broad community, although not all of it, most of the West Broad community will be in Commissioner Parker's District 2, although a chunk of it is chunked off. The new District 2 leaves off a chunk of Boulevard and a chunk of the West Broad community and a chunk of Cobham and a chunk of Hancock. It in no way keeps this community of interest intact, and it is in violation of the recommendations for redistricting, unfortunately. But I will continue to stay in contact with the folks in that West Broad community. I've made some really heartfelt friendships with those folks, and I will certainly stay involved in this local government. And so folks will not have seen the last of me come January, that's for sure. And yeah, thank you.
I wanted to start off by formally asking my colleagues and the mayor for us to rename the bridge traversing the North Oconee River between Willow Street and MLK in honor of Jesse Barnett, who was instrumental into getting that bridge in place to connect East Athens to the rest of the city. I would love to see that brought forward as an agenda item at our agenda setting meeting this month and approved in May if possible. And I've been working with family members of hers to obtain letters of recommendation and other necessary components of an application to support that request if needed. So feel free to stay in touch about that if you need those materials as well. Given the revised policy we approved, I guess, last year, it just requires, since it is not a currently named structure, all it requires is all of us to be okay with that, rather than, a collection of petitions as usual. So I hope to have your support for that. And then I will close in saying I took part in Athens Anti-Discrimination Movement's town hall last Thursday pertaining conditions at the jail. And though conditions regarding inmates were not new to me, having spoken to many loved ones and formerly incarcerated folks, particularly over the last 6 months, about things they had experienced as a result or a result of an adjacency to incarceration, it really was illuminating to me the impact that this has on our jail staff. When we have a bloated jail population, the strain that puts on their operations, and the psychological toll it does take on the folks that are working at the jail. And so while we are separate, you want to say a separate branch of government than the sheriff's office, we can do a lot to reduce the suffering in our community for members of our community that may be incarcerated or related to folks who are incarcerated by taking seriously those upstream kinds of preventative public safety measures we can do to ensure that our jail population does not have to be this large anymore. We were successful in reducing it to about 100 people at the start of the pandemic. It's tripled since then, by my understanding, and it doesn't have to be that way if we really invest in the social determinants of health that keep people safe. So I just wanted to emphasize that to my colleagues as we enter budget season and think about how we can keep families together and keep people safe. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner, and staff, I'll work with you about the bridge name.
Alrighty, just real quick, April 23rd and 24th at Southeast Clarke Park will be blind beat softball, excuse me. So if you are in the area, please come out from 8:30 to 4, April 23rd to 24th, for blind softball, or blind beat softball. Happy Easter, happy Earth Day. Congratulations to, make sure I get Hollis Terry, and I cannot pronounce this gentleman's last name, Ryan Transit Department Director. Yeah, so, yeah, Mr. Berger. And I look forward to supporting the bridge renaming, and ditto to Commissioner Denson about the trees, green space, and that's it.
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, motion to adjourn.
Is there a second? All right, I've got a motion to adjourn from Commissioner Davenport, second from Commissioner Parker. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, at 7:04, we are adjourned.